Welcome back to the Rosy Pear. It is I, the Rosy Pear. And today we are going to be going back to AskReddit for Mondays. And our AskReddit question is, what was the first book you ever read that made you want to read more? Stooltoad9 says Banicula. It's about a vampire rabbit that drains veggies of their juices. I was in third grade, so I thought a vampire rabbit was just the creme de la creme of genius. When I learned it was a series, it blew my mind and I read them all. I'm pretty sure it's like almost mandatory for every third grader to learn about Banicula. It's like the first soft horror genre you can think of. It's so gentle and simple, and at some points it's pretty scary. It's so cute. I liked that. I liked that book. It was a nice book. Squidgy Spoon says, my parents raised me in the library, so to speak. So I cannot remember a specific book that made me continue reading. However, my friend let me read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and I will forever see that as the book that made my obsession with books grow. I still read Percy Jackson, and I'm super excited for the Disney Plus series. I mean, the only thing Disney can do now is make it worse. I mean, the movie wasn't that good. I mean, I'd never actually read the series, but I have friends and family who have read the series, and they say that the books are better than the movies because the movies leave out a lot of things or tweak a lot of things or change one thing or another. And it's never fun when a book series you like turns into a movie series that you hate. That's always just so sad. Interesting Lady Wow says definitely Harry Potter. I looked forward to the release of a new book as a child. My dad used to read Harry Potter to me and my siblings when I was like 5, 6 years old before we would go to bed. And then when the 7th book came out, my brother actually went to a bookstore at midnight and got me a copy as well as one for himself. It was the coolest present I'd ever gotten. Time Adams says it's the Goosebumps series. I'm pretty sure we all know one person who's read Goosebumps or has something to do with Goosebumps. I've never actually read it myself, but I hear good things from people who like scary things, so that's not always a bad thing. IPA Kook API read a lot as a kid, but the first book I really felt like I read as an adult was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I think I was 14. Tell me you were a child prodigy without telling me you were a child prodigy. Skyline's End, for me, it was Where the Red Fern Grows that got me into reading. I was 11 or 12 and read it for a book report, and I was hooked on reading from that point on. Dude, I loved Where the Red Fern Grows when I was like in third grade when I first read it, that I accidentally stole it from my elementary school, took it to my great-grandmother's house, left it there, and then anytime I would go to my great-grandmother's house, I would always have that book to read. R.L. Stine. Forget Goosebumps. The 99 Fear Street series was seriously messed up, and I read the entire series in like a week. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. I'll have to ask my book nerds about it. It sounds pretty good. I mean, if it's seriously messed up. Foreman98 says, Holes. First book that sucked me in. I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade when it came out and showed up at the Scholastic Book Fair. I read that book in a day or so because I could not put it down. Harry Potter was right behind that. Holes is another book that where you can just pick it up at any time of age, like at any age point, and just read through the whole thing, and it won't be boring. It'll all be fascinating. It's one of those books that just never ages badly. The only thing bad about that entire movie, or the entire book, was the child abuse, the obvious child abuse. Not a Pink Lover says, To Kill a Mockingbird, definitely. I was bored at first, but I pushed through it, and within a few pages, I was already deeply immersed into the book. Thank you for this amazing book, Harper Lee. Harper Lee published one book while she was alive, and it became such an immensely best-selling book, and it became just a part of everybody's childhood. Every high schooler or middle schooler had to read that book at least once, and everybody could not stand it, but everyone read it. And then you find out that it became a movie, and you're like, well, to me, the movie was better than the book because I had very poor attention span when I was a kid, especially as a teenager. I'm like, why do we have to read this? Can't we just watch the movie? Queen Baguette says, not the first books I read, but The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is one of those books that you read as a child and you think, I can do anything because this girl can do anything. But then you grow up and you think, the only reason I can't do anything is because that girl had years of training and experience, and I get scared when someone calls me on the phone. Very Badassery just says, Lord of the Rings. You know you gotta be a badass to read Lord of the Rings completely. I consider anyone who reads The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones, anyone who reads that kind of stuff, they are the top tier of reading material, not just because it's an amazing book, but because it's such a big series. There's just so much to it, and how do you keep track of everything? And there's always parts where you're going back in time, remembering a memory, or going forward and thinking of something, and then you go back to the present, and you're like, wait, where are we? What are we doing right now? And it's so confusing to my pea-sized brain. Lesbian Siren says the How to Train Your Dragon series. Wait, that's a series? I thought that was just a movie. Okay, wow, yeah, it is a book series. It's a children's book series, and it is intense. There's a lot of these. When did they first come out? 1999? This has been a thing since 99? Oh my god! I need to get out more. Superstilious Pigeon 5 says The Hardy Boys. I read every one of those books on my local library had. There's so many books from back then that are just so good. I really liked Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. They were really cute and they were fun, and some of them were just so gripping. It's hard not to like stories that your parents liked because they tend to read that stuff to you when you're young and you can't remember it, but it just becomes a part of your life somehow, some way. Charlie Indigo, I spent about 3 whole weeks reading the whole Harry Potter series when I was 11. Then I went through it again the next month. After that, I started borrowing anything from the library that I thought was interesting, and the rest is history. Rowling put a spell on me. Well, on the upside, she did one thing right. And the Harry Potter series was definitely it. Jennifer Fawn is another Harry Potter fan with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone for the American listeners, because they had to make it easier. Apparently no one knows what a philosopher is. Then again, so do I. I don't know what a philosopher is. But if you tell me that it's a philosopher's stone, I'll just think that it's a stone for a dude who's smart. Because isn't that what a philosopher is? Like a scholar? I don't know. Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Magnificent illustrations and text is accessible for young kids. The story of Peter Rabbit is just the cutest thing. It's so soft and sweet and gentle. I love the stories of Beatrix Potter. She has such amazing writing ability, and her art is amazing. It's all just so beautiful. There's nothing else to say about it but amazing. She's an amazing person. My grandmother used to have a movie based off of Beatrix Potter's books, and it was actually read out of the book by Beatrix Potter, or at least by a woman who vaguely sounded like her. So the illustration of the movie that followed the book went by the book word for word. There was nothing cut out of it or anything. All of it was just accessible to everyone. And it was just amazing. Rebuilt, Remade says, enter The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or The Golden Compass. 6th grade was about that time I really started reading for fun. Harry Potter should also get some credit. Harry Potter should get a little handout when anyone is asked, what's your favorite book? It's like, I gotta say Harry Potter, but at the same time, my favorite book is. It's like Harry Potter is going to be everyone's favorite book. And if you've never read or listened to the Harry Potter series, you really need to get on that. It's an amazing series. It's a good book. And it's just so... I'm going to run out of the word amazing, but it is amazing. I love the book series. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was the first book that I read by myself. And it's also the same book that I read when I had those little, I don't even remember what it's called or if anybody else had it. But when I was in elementary school, like twice a year, we had this competition. And they were both run by like Pizza Hut, where if you read a certain amount of books or a certain amount of pages, then you could win like a small personal sized pizza for free. And they have it run twice a year, once in the winter, once right before summer. And the winter was usually called the Iditarod, the reading Iditarod, because it was based off of how many pages, or like one page was 1 mile of the Iditarod. And you had to read the equivalent amount of miles or pages as the Iditarod mileage. And it was just, was so difficult. It was so hard, but it got kids to sit down and read books on their own. Michael Crichton's Congo. I saw it on our bookshelf and just picked it up and started reading it. Yeah, I'm the same way with Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. I saw it at Barnes & Noble, and I got it on a whim because I have all the movies, so I figured, hey, what the hell, it might be good. And then I read it. And I read it again. And then I read it again. And I started not liking the movie because it was nothing like the book. Like, the only thing similar between the book and the movie is names and premise. But the plot is so different, and there's just no way to figure out how the movie is supposed to come from the book. And then you watch the movie, and it says, based off a book by Michael Crichton, and you're like, no, it is not based off the book. It is loosely based off the book at best. You can tell how heated I am about this. And finally, we have this one from the saddest part of the brain. Short story, Flowers for Algernon. Why is that your favorite book? I read the short story that you're thinking about, and I have read the entire book. And I have to say, the entire book made me want to cry. The entire book did make me cry, and I hate you for bringing it up. How dare you? That was the greatest, saddest story I've ever read, and I hate you for making me think of it. But oh my god, it was so good. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it from me today. If you absolutely love the video, don't forget to leave a like. Comment your first or favorite book series down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video around because I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And yeah, don't forget to check out any other videos that I might possibly have that you either haven't read before or haven't seen before. And I will see you all next time. Thank you so much, you guys. Bye!